Hi Phoenix family. Tonight we're doing a different kind of video. I have asked some of my friends to make some questions, and these are questions that were either asked to them or questions that they had themselves. I chose 10 questions to post in this video, and as I read along and give the answers, you'll be able to see the questions from my friends. If the video is successful or is something that you want to see more of, comment below and we might be able to do a second segment of it, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 comes from Paula. She says, this was asked to her, how do you pray if you don't believe in God?
Sean the non-believer. Sean.
Okay, Paula, that question has been asked to quite a few of us, and there's not really an easy response because it depends on that person that's actually asking the question. Most people that generally ask that question were raised in homes or churches where they have a certain type of prayer, a memorized prayer, or a type of way that they pray in their form of worship. And because pagans don't follow Christianity very particularly, then they cannot imagine how a pagan will pray. So the first part to explain to that is that some pagans believe in the gods and goddesses and some do not. They are called atheist pagans or elemental pagans, okay? And that is because they draw power or belief systems or spirituality from the elements themselves. So it's not really like a prayer or a worship so much as it is a connection. Especially the elements where, we rely on fire to cook, we rely on water to be cleansed, we rely on the air to breathe, we rely on earth to grow our food. Those are just examples. So it's not so much as a prayer is that they have seen or witnessed in a traditional church. It is more of a connection to our various surroundings. So yes, pagans pray, just not in the same way. And it depends entirely on that particular pagan and what it is that they believe in. It was more of an accusation than a question. But do you eat Christian babies? To which my answer is always sarcastically humorous. Robin, most of us agree, and the answer is sarcastically humorous. To the point where we have an ongoing joke in the group about eating children on Wednesday. Which is not true, not by any means. It just became a joke because of the accusation. So we post a thread or whatnot, and then other people will comment on it with little fake recipes or the most adorable pictures of our children. 9 times out of 10, the children that are participating are having more fun than we are with the jokes. It's just fun. It's just laughter, the jokes that we've made out of it. The reality of it is absolutely not. We don't eat any children. Pagan does not mean cannibalism. It is a very disturbing question, especially since the fact that sacrifice for the name of God in Christian religion was so many years ago and is definitely in their ancient practices. In fact, to add to that, nearly all religious practices, no matter what it be, pagan, Aztec, whatever you want to narrow it down to, has some form of human or animal sacrifice to appease the gods. Okay? So, no, we do not eat children. And the idea to bring of an ancient practice up in question is, to me, is absolutely insane. So, but yeah, we do still get asked that, and we still tell them the same thing. Pagan does not mean cannibalism. Thank you for putting that one on the thread. Jennifer asked, how can two people have a strong connection to each other and have never met in person? Jennifer, I chose to answer this question on the thread. Even though it's not directly pagan, it is more psychological. It is a very good question, and it's something that a lot of people are curious about. Way before social media, things like Facebook and stuff like that, social media platforms, people used like pen pals or phone calls or things like that. And the idea is to reach out to another human being. It didn't matter if you knew them or not. But in response, we'll just go back to letter writing. You write a letter to somebody, they write a letter back to you. You read what they have said, you answer their questions and add more detail to it. You simply begin to know one another. You begin to understand one another. You start picturing each other in what lives you live and what you do, how you work. And in doing so, there is a feeling of a connection. It's the feeling of that silver lining that brings two people together. That cord, that cord of understanding. Your friend that you've been writing letters to, or now in social media that you are typing to, chatting with, becomes possibly phone calls with. You begin to think about each other. You begin to care. You care if they're sick. They care if you're sick. You might even fall in love with them. Sometimes it's romantically even. You reach each other on that level. And sometimes it's a very deep-seated friendship, because the more you know about a person, the more you begin to have a feeling about that person. If it's a good feeling, the relationship will become closer and closer. If it is a bad feeling, then you find a way to put a distance. Okay? The distance in social media is already there. But the more we share with each other on a personal level, we kind of close that gap. Miles and miles apart, but the personal relationship, the understanding of one another, closes that gap. Okay? So it's not really pagan, but it's a people thing. It's something that we need. We need human interaction with other humans. And to be truthful, it's easier for us as humans to reach out and share our lives with somebody that we can't see. In that initial connection, it's so much harder in public to reach out to people you don't know. We feel so alone in this little box. But on social media, we're in our own home, we're in our own safe zone, and we can reach out to many people just as they can reach out to us. Okay? So it's becoming a social norm to build connections from a distance and close the gap. I hope that helps. Mong Ra, question 4, says, when someone buys you a gift, like a necklace or a ring, and it breaks or slips off immediately after fixing or putting it back on, do you take that as a sign of incompatibility? The simple answer is absolutely not. I do not consider that it have anything to do with incompatibility. And I'm going to explain why, okay? The idea of the piece of jewelry, whether it be a ring, a bracelet, or a necklace, is to symbolize friendship or love or family, okay? So that when you are gifted this item, or you gift this item to somebody else, it symbolizes the meaning of your relationship, whether it be friend, lover, or whatever, okay? So think of it like an engagement ring, all right? So you have an engagement ring, your partner has an engagement ring, you have made a promise to each other, and then one day you'll be married. But you are a mechanic. So you're outside, you're working on cars, and for whatever reason, the materials that you work with or the tools that you work with always cause the ring to slip off. That does not mean that you are incompatible. It means that your job affects the ability to wear a ring, okay? Much like a necklace or bracelet or anything like that. I myself think of it like this. I don't wear a lot of hand jewelry because I do a lot of stuff with my hands, folding laundry, doing dishes, spell work, vice versa. And because of that, guess what? I break the jewelry, fix it, put it back on, break it again. That does not mean that the person that gave it to me is no longer compatible. It means that my activities affect what jewelry I can and cannot wear. And I truly 100% believe that. The symbolism of the piece of jewelry when it was gifted to me will always be there. If, for some reason, a situation happens where the relationship goes south, then, okay, I can decide if I want to keep that piece of jewelry or not. But the piece itself does not determine compatibility. I hope that helps. I get told from time to time that I'm not a witch for the simple fact that I am not a woman. They say that I am a warlock. I simply state that man and woman can be both. Witch. Can be both be witches. That's what he said. Alright. Alright, Gary. Yes, you are right, because witch is not gender specific at all. What a witch is an individual that works in the craft, whether it be spells, chemicals, the alchemy, um, the vegetation, medicine, things like that. That is man or woman. Witch is not gender specific at all. It just means witch. And it's an insult when somebody says that you are a warlock. In today's society, and I truly believe 100% this is because of Hollywood, the word warlock has been accepted as a male witch. And it's not true. Okay? The male witch comes from the 16th century, and the word meant oath breaker. So government, preachers, whatever, would hire people to go into covens, get all the information that they could. Okay, so this person is being paid, goes into the coven, takes an oath of the coven, participates in whatever activity so they can gather as much information as possible that they feel they could take back to the person that hired them. Then they return to that person, give all the secrets, and give the location of the coven. That person is paid. Those people come back and they take out the coven, 9 times out of 10, killing everybody that's in there. Those that survive the coven attack whisper to others, "Be careful, there are warlocks among us, oath breakers." A warlock coming into a coven was a bad person, not because he studied witchcraft, but because he would give up the men and women that were accused of witchcraft to be put to death, whether it was true or not. Okay, that is a warlock. A warlock is not a male witch. A witch is male or female. This is a suggested question. What does pagan mean, other than dancing naked around the fire, followed by jovial laughter? This is a good question, and I picked this question because it is so general. Alright? The word pagan means a person that does not follow in the teachings of Christianity. It does not mean evil. It does not mean bad. It does not mean that we're not good people. Religion is not what determines whether or not a person is good or bad. Individuals choose whether or not they will be good or bad. Pagan means somebody that does not follow in the teachings of Christianity. Native Americans that still practice spirituality are pagan. Psychics that are in touch with the earth and nature, and you take from the planet, you give back to the planet. These are pagan ideals, okay? One that does not follow in Christian teachings. That's what a pagan is, okay? And the sections of paganism is so broad because pagan is not the religion itself. Pagan is an umbrella term for all beings that do not follow in the teachings of this one Christ, this one God. Okay? They go so much deeper than that, but they're just not Christian. Alright? The origin of the word pagan, and I have said this before in another video, but the origin of the word pagan was meant to be an ugly word. It was meant to be bashing, to be bantering. If you did not follow through with the Christian conversion when Christianity was created, then you were called a pagan. And at that point in time, when that word was being used in that way, it was used to be ugly, to be mean, to be absolute hateful. Throughout history, the word pagan, although it's still that same thing, even then, even though they were saying it with hate and spite, they were saying, "Oh, you're a pagan because you're not Christian." Okay, so what? In 2019, we took that same thing. "Oh, you're a pagan. You're not Christian." Yeah, that's what it is. It's pagan. And went with it. We had took the word, and instead of putting the hate behind the meaning, we put love behind it. Yeah, we're pagan. You're absolutely right. We are not following the Christian path. We're cool with it. And there you go. This next question comes from Matt. And he says, do you have an altar? Yes, misspelled on purpose. And if you'll look, it says Alter. Matt, I love this question. And I love that you misspelled it on purpose. Okay? Alter, Alter, is short for alteration. Okay? So if you were to buy a suit or a dress or something like that, and you needed the hems to be redone or you needed it to be a little bit smaller, you would have alterations done on the dress. Alterations, okay? That is Alter. The reason that drives us crazy is because when we see that, that's what we think of, alterations. Do you have alterations? Alterations for what exactly? The word altar, a table with your pictures, your candles, your tools, whatever the case might be, no matter what religion you are, is altar. 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 It is not short for anything. It is not abbreviated for anything. That's what that is. That's what an altar is. Altar. Altar. Alright? Well, so we get that one a lot. Um, The misspelling is kind of funny only because when we see it, we automatically go to alterations. So that's one of the reasons why Matt pulled that one out and why I chose to share it as well, because people need to understand what an altar is. Altar is a table, a closet, even a room that is specifically dedicated to your religious beliefs. Okay? So, there you go. It is not Alter. It is not an alteration. Thank you, Matt. She says, when you say you worship nature, does that mean you're worshiping trees? I love this question, and the reason why I picked this one out is because it's the idea of what worship is, okay? And you already asked, how do you pray? Like the first question we did, how do you pray if you don't believe in God, right?
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
So it's kind of the same concept with those that, the worshiping of nature. And honestly, I guess it's different for different people, because there are individuals that literally worship the ground that they walk on. There are people called the tree huggers that literally go out and hug a tree, worship the tree. The tree comes from the earth, the tree provides oxygen, and so forth, and so the tree is literally worshipped. Generally, worshiping nature does not mean worshiping trees. Worshiping nature means that it's what we can see, it's what we can feel, it's what we can hear, it's what we can touch, and we give ourselves into the land as the land gives back to us. It's for somebody that worships nature, takes in the conscious sense of going through the woods and seeing trash everywhere. Worshipping nature means that disgusts you. That bothers you because how our very earth is treated. So a person that worships nature doesn't necessarily worship the little grass or the little plant, but they will go and collect the trash. They will feed the plants, okay? They will grow the grass. That is how the worship is done. The worship is done through nurturing, accepting, giving, and then receiving. I hope that helps. I do love that question, though. This one is from Polish. It says, so you're pagan, right? Does that mean you do human sacrifice? This is very much just like the another question that we just had in this thread about eating Christian children. No, we don't. No, we don't. Human and or animal sacrifice is an ancient practice of all religions, including Christianity. Okay? And There isn't a religion I can think of at some point in history they did not do that to appease their gods, to feel if in order to flourish their tribe or flourish their land, that some kind of sacrifice would be made. For some people, it was an absolute honor to be chosen by their tribe or by their people or by their religious leaders to be that sacrifice, to appeal to the gods, to appease the gods, and provide for the people. That's in all religions. It's 2019. There is no sacrificing people of any. No, it just doesn't. It's not happening. But yes, it is still asked. It is very often asked to pagans. Thank you for bringing it up. What does it mean to see a crow while driving? Kind of reword the question for you. Um, it doesn't mean anything. You are in the right place at the right time to see a crow, or a bee, or a hummingbird, or a butterfly, or a worm, or a frog. I generally tell people that if it's a moment that has meaning, you know it. You just know it. If you are anywhere, whether it be a creature, whether it be the way the winds move, a sign you saw that you're walking past, if it has a meaning to you, you know it when you see it. You just feel it. You feel it in the same way when you're in a place and you are suddenly overtaken by fear. You just know that you are afraid. In this situation, you just know that there was a reason why you saw that. You just know why there was a connection. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. It just means you're in the right place at the right time. You come outside, you see a murder of crows on the power line. Okay, they landed there. A bee gets in the car. Well, your car was there. A toad crossed you in the grass. Well, that's where they're usually made at, in the wet grass, in the morning dew. There's thousands of creatures everywhere, and you could be in the right place at the right time to see them, but it doesn't have a mystical meaning to it. It absolutely does not. It is just the right place at the right time. I get that question all the time, and it drives us batty. And it's not that you're not entitled to have something special happen to you when you feel like this means something. It's just that you need to realize that when it does happen and it has meaning, you'll know. You will absolutely know. And you don't need to ask, what does this mean? What does this mean? Because if you have to ask on everything that you see, you're not really taking in anything anyway. All right? That's the point to that. So I think that's going to cover it. If you guys like the questions or you want to see more questions, please comment below so we can definitely do a thread for another segment. Please like, share, and subscribe. I love you guys. Have a good night. Mwah.
Shun the non-believer. Shun.